Hello and welcome back to my craft room. If you're a regular viewer here, you will know that I'm not long back from the Bazaar August Show, where a few of us got together and spent the whole weekend, a beautiful weekend, working on our Bonkers Quilt, the community project. And lots of people from all around the world who weren't able to join us in person have sent in beautiful pieces for me to stitch onto the quilt on their behalf. So I have just spread the whole quilt out on my sitting room floor and done a little short video to show you what it looks like now. It's got all the pieces tacked into place and ready to start the labour of love that is going to be finishing this quilt. So it will need to be, each piece will need to be secured, all of the little gaps will need to be filled, all of the edges will need to be secured and blended together so that none of the backing fabric shows and nothing's going to come adrift. So it's going to be a lot of work, but it's going to be a really fun process. I've also got lots of other little pieces, bits and pieces that people have sent me as fillers as well, which I'll show you in a minute. So first of all, I'm just going to slot in here the little video that I've just made downstairs. Here we go. Here's the quilt as it's looking now, spread out on my sitting room floor. Filling up very nicely. There are still some spaces, but not any huge spaces. There's going to be a lot of work to do on this. Enjoyable work, but it's going to take a time. I've still got some little filler pieces as well, little birds from Granny Sue, cantha circles and little squares from Maggie Morris. I've got some Suffolk puffs from Suzanne over in Alabama. Little teeny Suffolk puffs, or yo-yos I think you guys call them. All of those kind of things will help to fill little spaces. And crochet pieces from Gemma in Scotland. Yay! Scotland! Yeah, a lot of work. But it's going to be really fun. And I think you can already see it's going to be the most bonkers ever crazy quilt, but yeah, really beautiful. Don't it look amazing? There's not a lot of spaces left there. If you've already sent a little piece and it, you know, it's on the way, I will definitely find space for it. There is some space left there. If I end up with more than I can fit onto the quilt, I will use them as a cover for the little keepsake book that I might make to tell the story of the quilt, or it might be that I'll make a bag to store the quilt and use any leftover pieces on there. I've got several ideas for what could be done with any leftover pieces. I'm going to wait and see what I've got to work with before I make that final decision. It's going to be quite a while, several months I think, before this quilt is actually finished, so there's no rush to decide that kind of thing. So what I'm going to do now is take you to my desk and just give you an idea, look at a couple of sections of the quilt, give you an idea of what I'll be doing to work on finishing this quilt. Once the kind of top of the quilt is done, then I will be backing it. I've got some beautiful antique damask tablecloths that Jen sent to be used for this. I might end up dyeing them, haven't decided yet, we'll wait and see. That will be the final backing, so I'll need to put that together. Then I will be hand tying the quilt to keep all of the layers together, and then finally edging it. And then once all of that is done and it's finished, it will be auctioned off for whichever charity we finally decide on. There's been quite a lot of discussion about trying to find a way to take the quilt to a couple of different parts of the country, perhaps so that people can come and have a look at it. So I'm going to do some research about that, see what we can come up with, and it might be that we could even take the whole completed quilt back to the bazaar event next summer before it finally goes up for auction. Very much depends on how long this takes me, because at this stage it was many hands made light work over the weekend, and how wonderful to have like hundreds of people from all over the world sending their pieces in. But this part I've got to do by myself, so I've got to be realistic. chill out, enjoy the process, and then do the very best job I can of it. I feel quite a responsibility for doing justice to all the beautiful work that people have sent in. So quite enough waffle from me. Let's go to the desk and have a look at a couple of sections. So what I've done is, at the moment, is I've rolled it up on either side like this to fit it onto my desk, and this is one edge of it. When I come to work on a section in the middle, I'll probably need to roll it this way as well. And I'm playing with a couple of different ideas for frames that I might try. I've seen some with a gripper tape that might work, but I'm not sure if it would work on this fabric and with these layers on top. So, and it's a little bit pricey to just sort of take a punt on, so I'm still thinking about that in the moment. And I've asked in our Discord group, I've just put a message to see if anyone's got any advice about it, because we've got a lot of expertise and experience in the group. So here's a little typical section of where we've ended up. A whole mixture of pieces. You can see what an eclectic mix we've got. I don't know who made all of these pieces. This one was definitely done at the event. Now, was this Lucy that did this? Was it Linda that did this? I can't remember. I should remember because I know they told me about it. This was Pauline. So Paul and Pauline are the owners and creators of the Sussex Prairie Gardens. Well, they're called Sussex Prairies Wild now, where the Bazaar event is held. Absolutely beautiful. What a beautiful setting. Anyway, so Pauline made this piece herself, so that's really lovely to see that there. And this little piece here was made by Shana, so that's Shana Rose-Innerspin, who dances with the hula hoop. You will have definitely heard me talk about. And this piece was Magpie Sue, I believe. Was it Magpie Sue? Yes, I think this was Magpie Sue over in the States. This one here is Tulsa from Germany. You can see what an eclectic mix we've got here. Oh, now who is this one? Oh, who is this? Who also sent two other gorgeous pieces. Now I can't remember. But anyway, you'll know who you are. And I will link to the Bonkers Quilt playlist where I've put all of the Happy Mail opening videos as well, so you can get a closer look at all of these pieces. I thought what I'll do now is maybe once a week or possibly once a month, let's see how much people like it. I'll just sit for an hour, do a bit of work of the quilt, and you can see the kind of thing that I'm doing. So one of the things that will need to be done is where people have stitched down pieces like this, perhaps at the event, I need to make sure that all of these pieces are really secure. People didn't always have an awful lot of time, and yeah, I just need to make sure these are really not. It might be that some of them are. This one's definitely, all of these pieces are stitched on really well. And here, I'll come to this in a minute. But it might just be that some of these pieces will just need a little bit of extra, just to make sure I don't want anything coming adrift and getting lost. So that's one thing I'll need to do. At the moment, they're just tacked on. So you can see we've tried to tack them so that the backing lies flat and nothing's wrinkled up, but they are just tacked, and a lot of the edges will be raw edges. I need to tack each piece. I need to stitch each piece on more securely, and what I plan to do with that, so for example with this one, I don't just want to stitch it around the edge. With a lot of them I want to stitch through the middle as well. Let's take this as an example actually. So I don't just want this one to be stitched around the edge, I want to secure it in between as well. Obviously the tying will do that to some extent, but where you've got separate pieces like this, I just want to make sure everything's caught. So part of what I'll do will be stitching through some of the squares, or some of the pieces rather, in such a way that it doesn't interfere with the design that someone's made. It's sort of sympathetic with it. So I might decide to choose a coordinating blue and just go around here. I think with this one, because we've got the pinked edges here, what I'll probably do with this one is just turn those under and do a bit of needle turn applique and allow that little petal to overlap Sue's square here just a little bit, and that will start to blend them all in together as well. So that kind of thing I'll do. Where I end up with a tiny space like this, or a little space like this, I've got some little fillers. So Granny Sue made a whole lot of birds like this little cutie here. He's got a lovely, I keep doing this because he's got felt that his little head is velvet. So it feels really nice. So she made a whole lot of these in different colours and things, and she put some more in the post apparently already. They'll be really good for filling little nooks and crannies. I got these waffles. Kaz made some waffles. If you're a regular viewer of the live streams, you will know why we've got waffles. So some of these could end up getting dotted around as well, you know, just to fill little spaces and add a little bit of fun and texture. I've got some tiny pieces like this. This is a piece I made myself, sitting in the sunshine with Kaz on the, I think the Tuesday afternoon. We found a lovely place locally with a beautiful view and lovely coffee, and sat in the sunshine and did some sewing together. And I was using some of the lovely Australian fabrics that Kaz had brought over to make this little tiny piece, which again will be good for just filling odd little nooks and crannies. There are pieces like this cut directly from some of the Bazaar scraps that could be used to fill in a little space like that. I've also got some camphor stitched circles. That's another one of those birds. There's some different ones in different sizes in here, which Maggie Morris brought with her. Again, these would be lovely just for filling in spaces. There's another one, a larger one, but there are some smaller ones as well. These were sent by, I think there's some more in there too. These were sent by Crocheted Pieces, were sent by Gemma in Scotland. We actually opened these up during the event, and Lucy did an excellent impression of me, which was hilarious, opening Happy Mail. So you might have seen that. But yeah, these will fill little spaces or just go in between things like that, just to make sure everything is covered. I've also got I've got a couple of larger pieces. So I think this was Deb. She sent several pieces, and several pieces of Deb's are on the quilt, but she didn't understand that we might not fit them all on. So I've got this in the wings, waiting in the wings. So if we do end up with a space, it will definitely go on. But if I get more pieces in the post that I need to squeeze on, then this one will end up on the keepsake book or whatever instead. In here, in this lovely overall pocket, I've got these pieces that were sent by Suzanne in Alabama, and she actually she had a right palaver at the post office and ended up undoing her parcel, repacking it, ended up accidentally taking the piece she'd made for the quilt home with her. But she did put some lovely pieces in it, and amongst the lovely pieces she sent were these little dinky Suffolk puffs, or I think you guys call them yo-yos over there. And these will be perfect for filling the teeniest little spaces. So where I've got that little space there, I can stitch this one on, and that will just, and then with a bit of little bit more stitching around it and a little bit of needle turn applique there, that little area will be finished. And there's these as well. These are cute. These definitely could be nice little fillers. So even though I haven't got Suzanne's actual piece that she made for the quilt, there will be a bit of Alabama on our quilt anyway. And I love this kind of overall pocket that she put them in. And what I'm thinking is that this could end up being stitched on the back of the quilt with the piece of fabric in with everyone's names embroidered on, or a little keepsake book tucked in there. Or this could become part of the cover of the keepsake, but I'm not sure yet. I'm going to wait and see how many names are involved. Some of the ladies very kindly volunteered to help me with embroidering the names, so that'd be good. And she also sent some of this silk sari ribbon, and I have got a ball of this myself as well. So I think this will be good for, if I take a piece like this, let's twist it together a bit, and I can use it where I need to fill in the gap between pieces, so like there. And I can use that. I can use various, I've got some yarns and fibres and things that I can use as well, and they can just be couched down between, and I think that will really help to make the pieces pop as well. The sari ribbon is also good for just using as a little snippet of fabric to fill a small space too. I think, I can leave it with frayed edges or turn it under or whatever. So there's those. And yeah, lots of pieces of lace and ribbon and all kinds of things I can use to fill little spaces. Buttons, whatever. Let's show you. Let's move on and show another piece. So say I was going to work on a bit more towards the middle. This is where it's going to get a little bit awkward. Let's have a look at this little area. So I love this little piece here. I love the shape of it. So here we got a piece. Gori made this piece. I think, what was it? No, this was Saffron's piece. I can't remember because they were both working together. And they used this lovely, one of the little beaded pieces that Procrastinas sent. So I've got those as well in this bag. Let's have a look. Where are you? Here you are. Beautiful hand beaded pieces. So I might dot a few of those around as well to fill teeny spaces. I think that'd just be so pretty. This is not going to be the kind of quilt that you'll throw over the sofa and sit on after all, or throw in the washing machine. It's going to be more of an art piece, so anything goes. Yeah, so I mean here, this is Kim made this piece. You see, Kim, I told you, it looks lovely once it's on in amongst everything else. She wasn't happy with it at all, and she said she's going to send another piece. But it's difficult when you're sitting there in an environment like that, you don't have time to think about what you're doing, just grab the scraps and go. And honestly, I just love every piece. Look how different they are. This is another Maggie Morris piece she made a long time ago. This is another piece from Deb, I believe, this one. Can't remember who did this piece now. I know it was done at the event. So this is an example where I think I just need to stitch that fish on a bit more firmly. I don't think he's quite on securely enough. We'll just go over these pieces and give them a bit more of a stitch, and I'll stitch it right through onto the backing, because I think it was made separately and then we've just tacked it on. So yeah, and again with these buttons I will tack them. I'll use the same colour the person's chosen there. I'll use all, I will make it very sympathetic to what they've done. I love how they've just squeezed these up to give them a bit of dimension. I think it looks really cute. Love that. And then these pieces could be slightly overlapped with this piece to start to help blending it all together. Between here I could either just do some feather stitching or something, or use some yarn or cord or ribbon or whatever to couch down in between and there as well. Here's a lovely acorn piece that Kaz made. She was just going nuts on acorns, which she kept calling oak nuts. I love that piece. I really love that piece. So here to secure this piece down, so at the moment we've just got it tacked around the edges. Obviously the edges need to be sorted because they're going to fray. So I'll put something between here and the next piece. I could blanket stitch there, or again couch something down or whatever. And to make sure it's properly secured to the background, I might run some matching colour thread, just running stitches along these grid lines. And maybe even add some French knots going all the way through, because this piece was made separately and tacked on. But there's no reason why I can't add to the stitching and go right through the backing, just to help making everything extra secure. This piece needs finishing on. There's a piece from Shirley in the States there. So many beautiful, beautiful pieces. This was Liz, this one I think. This was, is it Karen? In Wales. This came from Wales, this piece. So yeah, I just thought I will just do a little video every week. This is a bit longer because I'm sort of, introducing it this time. But I'll just do a not too long video, just giving you a little peek at what I'm doing on the quilt, and you'll see it gradually start to take shape. I just thought it'd be quite a fun thing to do. I'll start on a part that probably is fairly full. Let's do this part. Let's work on this part. Okay, so first thing I'm going to think about is this. Yep, that is all. I think I've already put a little bit of extra stitching through that because I wanted to make sure it was really firmly on before I put it on the backing. So you can see this has just been tacked roughly around the blue bit, just tacked into place. So what I think I'll do with this one is a bit of blanket stitch around the felt. I've still got lots of the threads that I took with me. Should we go for a contrasting thread we could match to this, or we could match to that. So I've got to think about things blending in with the things that are next, and we're not blending in, but just either contrasting nicely or blending, or just in some way connecting. So I think the colour there that connects all of these really is going to be like a blue variegated one here. This is one of the ones I dyed myself, I think. Yeah, it's quite thick though. Would look nice, but is it going to be a bit tricky to use for that? Some of that wool thread, variegated, that's nice. Ooh, this is a stranded cotton that I dyed with Inktense, and it's got green, blue, purple, everything in it. Let's go for that. I took a tin of needles with me, and I think I've come home with more needles than I took, to be honest. Sorry ladies if I've pinched anyone's needles, I apologise. I think I was just trying to get, when people said, oh, what do you want me to do with the needle, I just said just throw it in the tin, because I didn't want them just ended up on the ground, and we had quite a few dogs around, and you don't want any accidents. Yeah, what I'm thinking is when I come to tie the quilt, because you've got to do something once you've got the top of the quilt done, you want to add the final backing, and then you have to tie all of those layers together. I can't thread my needle. I need a needle threader. Where's it gone? Yeah, obviously you need to make sure all the layers of these top pieces and the cotton batting and that final backing, you need to know that they're all kept together. So you need to tie it at regular points. So I will be tying it at semi-regular points. But I'm not going to, I don't want to interfere with people's work. So obviously this is all quite higgledy-piggledy, so my tying is going to be a bit higgledy-piggledy too. So I might decide I'll do a tie here, but I'll make sure it doesn't crop up right here. It would be alright if it cropped up in the middle of this heart one. It would probably be alright if it cropped up here. But yeah, I would just be a little bit mindful of where the ties go. Yeah, this whole process is going to be a bit make it up as you go along. But really enjoyable. Okay, so this is where it's going to be a little bit awkward. Take the ironing mat out before I stitch it to that. It's going to be a little bit awkward because I can't hold all of this bulk like this, so I'm going to roll it, I think, a bit more. It's a lot easier to work on downstairs on my big coffee table than it is trying to do it here on this desk, but even so. So I've got this all rolled up here now, so that hopefully I can get to this. I could also possibly get to it more easily from that side. So this is the kind of thing I'm going to have to do. At the moment I can't see a better way. As I say, I'm kind of looking into those gripper frame things. Did I mention that already? So yeah, what I want is a frame that I could put a section at a time on, and then that frame could rest on ideally 2 trestles, but I'm probably I can't think about the trestles at the moment. I might be able to prop it between 2 chairs, and Tom came up with an ingenious idea about customising some IKEA furniture, these kind of cheap kind of almost cardboard tables that they make. We might be able to do something with one of them, cut a hole in and create a frame over the top of it or something. So yeah, that would help. I just need to look into all the whys and wherefores of that. See, if I had it on a frame, I would be able to just put my hand under here. I mean, I can to an extent do that anyway, but yeah, it is awkward. Ouch, and I've just pricked myself with some pins. Something is still pinned on, not tacked on, obviously. That's probably the ones that have just come in the post in the last couple of days. Okay, let's see how we go with this. If I'm working on it on my coffee table downstairs, I can kind of move around the table, which will make it a little bit easier. I can clear everything else off it and just have my little low stool that I usually put my feet on in here. Sit on that and move that around the table as I go. I think that could work quite well. Okay, what I might have to do here by the look of it is go into the pink, but I'm not going to worry if I do. I think that would look quite nice anyway. Yeah, see, now I want to be able to go underneath. If I had a frame, I would now go underneath. Let's see if I can do it this way. We were experimenting. It's quite funny because we found that with us all working on the same quilt around a table, you couldn't keep moving the quilt and you couldn't keep moving your seat. So what we found we were doing was we were starting to work ambidextrously, using your right hand at one point and then having to go onto your left hand to work on a different side. So yeah, that was quite an interesting challenge. Yeah, definitely. I think some kind of a frame is going to make it easier. And maybe for these, where I'm doing these little bits of films just for you every so often, maybe for these I should just work on the pieces around the edge, because trying to do this in this tiny space on my work desk is making it extra difficult too. So yeah, I'll get into the way of it as I go along. I just thought you might like a little peek at, like, especially if you're one of the people who's sent a piece in, you know, what's going to happen with the quilt next, what the process is going to be. I think, yeah, I don't think it's going to be too bad. Once I just will find my comfortable way of working, and some of it is just simply going to be awkward. And, yeah, this is working okay now. And I think the blanket stitch is quite a nice extra little detail, and it's going to make sure everything is really safe and secure there. So along here I will have this tiny gap along here between these two pieces, so that'll probably get filled with twisted fibre or bundle of threads, or some of that crocheted work that Gemma sent, that I will just couch down between to fill that gap. It's going to be such a thing of beauty, this quilt, filled with so much love and care and work. And I'm definitely thinking people are right, it would be nice to be able to take it somewhere where, you know, people in different parts of the country would be able to see it. I'm just not quite sure how to facilitate that at the moment, but I'm going to give it some thought. I certainly wouldn't want to send it anywhere, you know. I mean, obviously eventually it will get sent to the person that wins the auction, but so another thing I might consider doing is, there's a good example of it here, so I could consider continuing these little motifs that are in here out into this piece, or I could do a whole lot of stitching through here, just carrying on with this stitching, and do more and more lines of it out into this piece, to start to blend all the pieces in each area together. I will, of course, always be mindful of someone's work. I'm not going to go trampling all over someone's work or anything. It'll all be done very sympathetically. It would just be with a view to securing everything and just blending it together into, you know, so that it's the finished result is cohesive, if that makes sense. Yeah, so that's stitched on over that now, and I might use this same colour to blanket stitch around this piece as well. And I think I will just, I don't think I need to put any more securing stitches on this one, because it's quite a small piece. I think if I just go around the outside, that'll be okay. And it might be that one of the ties ends up here as well. And same goes for this piece. I'll just pick a coordinating thread. Now, I don't want to, this is edged with blanket stitch already. What I might do with this one is pick a thread that coordinates with this and this and this, and just do another blanket stitch, or a blanket stitch that comes out the other way with the legs coming out this way, all around there. Not here yet, because this bit could still take quite a large piece. This might end up overlapping with it, or being overlapped. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. It makes sense in my head. I'm already thinking of if we repeat the experience next year, if Joe will have us again at Bazaar, what we could do for a community project next year, because it's been so fun. And I do like the idea that everybody at the event was working towards the same goal, doing it in lots of different ways, but working towards the same goal. I just think that's so lovely. But I've had a few ideas for things that would be a little bit more manageable in terms of, you know, like this, the awkwardness of working on a piece this size. So yeah, I've got a few ideas there for things that would be that where still people could send small contributions if they can't be with us in person, but that it would all come into a whole, but it just would be a bit of an easier shape to work on. Yeah, so I quite like that with the blanket stitch around there. I think that's quite cute. Let's do a little bit on this one just by way of a change, so I can show you what I mean about that. I've left my lovely sharp scissors from Sue downstairs where I'm working on my seascape. Yeah, so this is a nice little area that is really starting to fill up. I could put one of the Suffolk puffs in there too, couldn't I? Shall I do that too? Well, there's this little piece. Could do that. No, it's not doing it for me. I think it's going to be a Suffolk puff. Quite nice there. Now just leave just a tiny little spot which could just be filled with the stitching. Oh, there's the waffles as well. They're too big for that. Here are some of the different sizes of canter stitched pieces as well. Maybe that works a bit better for this one. Quite like that actually. I think it's going to be that. Okay, it's that. Right. Let's do a bit of this stitching here so I can show you what I mean. So I think I'll find a thread that's roughly the same colour as that, so it kind of will, so it's kind of sympathetic to what Deb's done. That looks pretty similar, doesn't it? So let's go with that, and it will also look nice with this and this and this and this. Yeah. I'm using 2 strands of stranded embroidery cotton here, but we used all kinds of different threads, all kinds, all different thicknesses, textures, materials in the course of the quilt. So yeah. Okay, I'm going to hide my knot under there. So this is just running stitch. This might be a bit easier to do as well. So let's start at this corner and work round. I want to make sure get the square on nice and securely. So this now is going to look just like Deb's own stitching there, because it's a very similar colour, and she's also used 2 strands of embroidery cotton there. So, and I might, in a minute, I might use some of the same thread to do perhaps some big cross stitches across there, or perhaps a contrast, perhaps one of the colours in this one, this red. I'll do some crisscross across there to catch that down as well. You see the running stitch is easier because I haven't got to get underneath the the backing fabric, so yeah, it's a lot easier. Yeah, I'm going to have to sort out some kind of a frame. I just feel like it's going to make the whole process not just easier but more enjoyable, you know. It's got to be enjoyable because I'm going to be spending a lot of time on it. Okay, so I think with this line of stitching I'm going to take it over the top of this piece as well, and that will start to secure that down to two birds one stone. And I could go over with another line of stitching afterwards if I feel like it. Layers and layers of stitching is fine. And you've got, you know, you've got the green sparkly thread in this, and you've got the green here, similar greens, so some kind of green in between, green stitching in between would be quite nice too. I'm not going to use that sparkly thread though. It looks pretty, but it's a nightmare to use. I don't like using it. Yeah, I think for future videos like this I will find a little point that's easier to access for filming purposes. I'm just wondering if I can use this to tack this into place. Yeah, I think I can. You know, and there's no reason why I couldn't do things like, to help to bring these together, put a little cross in the centre and or a little star shape in the centre in this thread, or some French knots or something. Because Maggie just made these little pieces as little fillers, so she won't mind if I add to them. Now I've got a feeling I might end up a bit more ambidextrous by the end of this project. Get all the way around with this one piece of thread, but I don't know. Someone was showing us how to, oh no, what was it? Wed the thread. I'll see if I can show that in a minute. Which certainly enabled you to use every last little bit of a piece of thread. I didn't fasten that on the back, but I've got more stitching to go around, so that'll be fine. So teeny weeny gaps like this will get either covered with, I'll do like chain stitching or something that will quickly cover an area like that, or I'll end up running a length of sari ribbon or cord or whatever around there and couching that down, but that'll be further down the line. So you can see here this is starting to want to pop up a little bit. I feel like I want to make sure this is down, so I'm going to do another line of this stitching, and I'm thinking maybe I'll do that in a green to pull this and this together. I'll do another line of stitching around there. Yeah, but first let's do a bit more of this. I'm just going to hide my knot in here rather than try and get to the back. I'll just hide it under here where we're not going to see it. There we go. Right, left-handed mode. Right, so I've come to where this heart is now. Can I? Yeah, no, I can carry on here. Because the heart's still only tacked on, so the edges are still free. So let's go under here. Yeah, I still want some of the green stitching as well, and I still want to bring some of it out to here as well. Now this side of the heart is hanging loose at the moment, so I think I'm going to use the last bit of this to tack that down a bit more. Thinking about it, I might have left that loose because I was thinking it might end up overlapping something. Oh well, hey ho, never mind, I can always untack it if I need to. So might as well use up this last little bit of thread. Right, yeah, I think a bit of green around here now is what's needed, and I'm sort of thinking a pop of that colour too would be nice. That kind of picks up on that as well. We'll go with that, yeah. Because I did also have amongst my bargain threads that I bought for to take to the bazaar thing, I had that huge bag of just black thread. And I am wondering about bundling some of the black thread to couch down between. Bit of a waste of it though, because it's proper stranded cotton, but worth a thought. The other thing I could do here is put a little Suffolk puff. So I'm kind of feeling a chain stitch coming on. Let's do a bit of chain stitch here. Just for a little change. Chain for a change. It's quite a fat stitch, isn't it? So it's quite good for filling spaces. And it grows quite quickly. Yeah, I think if I do that all around, that'll nicely secure this. If I still feel like I need more, I could even add a blanket stitch to that, and that would give me another layer holding it down. It's all the square is all stitched together perfectly well. It's just the holding of it to the backing, because I don't want to end up putting one of the ties through this part. So yeah, so I might consider doing that. It's gonna take quite a lot of thought and quite a lot of time. So amazed by the quilt that Kaz put together for Catherine, Casey and Catherine, who you follow her channel. So yeah, can't believe how much she must have been so loaded down, because she brought loads of lovely prezzies for me as well, which I have shown on a previous video. The huge quilt for Catherine, and the 2 enormous keepsake journals that she did to tell the story of the quilt, with all everybody's cards and the envelopes and everything, all beautifully bound and wrapped in these lovely fabric covers, where she used up some of the kind of leftover pieces that there wasn't room for on the quilt. And mine was one of them, because mine was quite late arriving. Yeah, what a lot of work. So funny that we both kind of ended up unknowingly doing a community quilt at the same time. Very, very different, but yeah, equally challenging, I think. And the sense of responsibility I won't be carrying this all the way to another country on the other side of the world. Yes, I will carry on and go around that. I think that does add to it rather than detract from it. And then I can use this same green to go around this one. Perhaps I might do this with a kind of reverse blanket stitch with the legs coming outwards to hold this part down, but I won't do that until I know what's going to be in here, because it'll probably go over that as well. Yeah, I'll do some more lines out into here. Yeah, I think that is probably enough of this for today, otherwise it's going to go on way too long. But you can kind of see where I'm going. It's going to be such a lot of fun to do, but a lot of work. This is just one tiny area out of a quilt pretty much the size of a double bed, really. I mean, it would cover a sofa. I don't think it's not the kind of thing you'd want to use to cover a sofa, but that's the size of it, a full size 3-seater sofa. It's probably that length, Yeah, I might end up favouring stitches where you don't need to get to the back so much. So like a chain stitch and a running stitch are much easier to do than a blanket stitch, where you've got to be guiding from underneath as well. It's quite hard to get to, but I do think, I've got my hand under that now. It's fine. I could have done all of that half, but then when I come to do this half, I've got to turn the whole thing around and get to the other side. I think, yeah, I will get used to it as we go along. Yeah. Oh, let's just do a bit of a red crisscross across there, and then I'll stop. Yeah, I like that, because that picks up with that and that. Yeah, I think some of the lovely oddments of braid and things like that you get in the Bazaar scrap packs will also come in really handy for this. Maggie was laughing about the size of my needles that I use, and the needle threaders that I got. Maggie and Granny Sue and Marion all made needle threaders for people to take away, so little keepsakes at the Bazaar event, and they said they didn't work. Maggie was saying she couldn't use the needle threader on the size of needles that she uses, but the size of needles I use, they're perfect. But I haven't got a single one handy. Although they are, yeah, they put them on these. They made little scrap fabric humbugs to attach them to, so that so you wouldn't get lost, and you could use it as a little pin cushion as well. But yeah, I find these little threaders really handy for the size of thread and the size of needles that I use. They're perfect. Make myself a little anchoring stitch, right, and side that one too. Okay, I'm just going to do a big cross stitch across here now. And I have said that I'm not going to take out the tacking stitches, but if there is a point where I think, oh, that tacking stitch is a bit annoying, I don't want to see it, then I will take it out. Usually once you put all these decorative stitches over the top, you don't really see it. I like the look of working stitches usually, to be honest. They're a bit crooked, but yeah, don't think it matters for our purposes here. Oh, come through, come through. A bit of a thick bit there. Got it. Okay, so yeah, I like the way that now picks up with this red and this red. So now I'm going to go back along the way I came and make little crosses. I think this project, like with many other creative projects, sometimes it goes through a phase where you think, oh, what have I started, or oh no, that's not looking very good, or whatever, and you just have to stick with it, keep going, and it will all come together. And I'm already starting to like the look of this little area here. I think that's looking really cute. It's funny how initially things were just going on pretty randomly, and it's sort of, as it got more and more full, it started to develop kind of colour zones, which I really liked. Sort of, not how we didn't stick to it rigidly, but you know. Right, back up to there again. Let's finish with a little anchoring stitch that will get hidden under the heart there. That'll work. So, thumbnail time. Nice little bit there. Let's get a bit more of Liz's in. There we go. So I hope that gives you a little bit of an idea of what's going on behind the scenes with the quilt. You can probably get some idea of how much work it's going to be, but how much fun it's going to be, how brilliant it's going to look at the end. And I think in my mind's eye, I can kind of picture how it will look when it's all covered. We've got when all the spaces and the lines between the joining points are covered with contrasting threads and things to make it all pop. I can just picture how amazing this is going to look. Thank you so much to everybody who's had a part in this quilt so far. Yeah, I just think it's going to be a humdinger of a project, and I love that we all came together in the spirit of friendship and caring and sharing, corny though it sounds, and that it will benefit. You know, we've all had a lovely time already doing it. I will continue to have a lovely time working on it for the next few probably months, and then it will be of benefit to whichever charity we eventually decide on. So thank you very much. I hope you enjoyed that a little peek, and do let me know if you'd like to have, you know, every so often a weekly or a monthly or just occasional sort of look at what I'm doing on the quilt, because if it, you know, I won't keep doing it. It's a bit awkward doing it like this, but I'm very happy to do it if people are interested. But otherwise, I'll just keep doing it downstairs, and I'll show you when it's done. Let me know what you think. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I'll see you again really soon. Bye.